When you think of the supercar class, or the supercar category in Test Drive Unlimited Solar Crown, what is the first car or even brand that comes to mind? You'll probably say something like Ferrari, or maybe even Lamborghini, as both of these brands have most of their cars as supercars, and they are pretty much synonymous with the word supercar. I bet a brand you weren't thinking about is Caterham, which, yes, does exist in TDU SC and has two cars, those being the 2005 CSR 260 and the 2016 620R, which this video is gonna be about. Starting with the car in the dealership, it's in the British Cars dealership on the west side of the map, and immediately looking at the car, you can see this amazing animation, which I actually had no idea existed before I stayed to look at these stats, as I've never actually looked this long at stats of a car before, and wow, I was actually so impressed. Things I'm finding out about this game after playing it for like 4 to 5 months, right? So pretty nice, honestly. But what is important to take from these stats on this car is the acceleration, 0 to 100 in 2.8 seconds, and I must say, this is the main strength of this car. And I'm gonna show you pretty soon, other than the acceleration, it doesn't have any amazing stats. And looking at the paint jobs on this car, it has some interesting combinations of color. I definitely like the yellow and black. Obviously the green, the vintage green with yellow, it's really nice. All of these I think are really good. I'm gonna show you what I chose, as I already bought this car. And the interior, well, nothing too interesting about the interior, only the seatbelt colors and a bit of stitching on the chairs changes. Nothing too huge, nothing too interesting here. And by the way, I didn't show the wheels, only one design of wheels, so yeah, that's it. But anyway, let's start with the first race. And immediately you can see initially I wasn't that fast off the line, but then I immediately catch these guys up and I'm really fast until the Nissan puts me in the wall and I'm suddenly in 7th place. Only one NPC behind me, and I don't know, that guy I think hit the wall by himself, I have no idea. And here I have no idea what the NPCs, the AI is doing. They're just crashing into each other, they can't take corners properly, and we passed 3 cars in one corner pretty much, and we're already up into 4th place. And what can we see exactly from this initial part of the race? Well, we can see that the Caterham 620R is very slow and very bad in corners. It doesn't take corners well at all. It doesn't brake well either, even though it's a 500 kilo car. This car is focused on accelerating, but the problem is the surface here is also very slippery. I mean, I'm so slow in these corners. And did you see the Alfa Romeo? This is not a fast supercar. I want to mention, this is not a fast supercar by any means. It's one of the slower supercars in this game, and he's actually catching me up in these corners, so the Caterham is really bad in these corners. However, I'm a bit better than the AI, obviously, and I managed to take the corners well, better than them. Now I'm gonna do exactly the same thing to the Nissan as he did to me at the beginning of the race, smash him into the wall and get that 3rd place. And look at this, it doesn't brake well, it doesn't take corners well. It's really a hard car to drive, and I'm gonna say it right now, I think this is one of the, look at this, look at this. This is one of the hardest cars to drive in this game. It's a very unstable car, the back can easily slide and you're pretty much cooked. If you enter a corner with too much speed and the corner is really slower than the speed you have, then you're pretty much done. The car will just slide around and probably even turn around because of the back end, which is very slidey, so to say. And by the way, especially around here, look at this, look at this. I mean, I was barely keeping that car, I was barely keeping it out of the walls, right, and out of completely sliding around. On this surface, in the Ibiza castle, this car is gonna slide a lot, and this is one of the hardest races I've ever had to do. This is very slippery. I mean, look at this. Only barely turning at around 150 kilometers an hour, and I'm sliding like hell. I'm barely keeping that car out of the wall. So, insanely hard race. I managed to get third. I can't actually believe I got third. But I played a bit dirty, ain't gonna lie, but so did the Nissan at the beginning of the race. And this was a perfect example of a hard race for this car. Let's move on to the next one. And this is actually gonna be a longer race than what I've actually showed thus far on this channel. I think I've never done a race, such a long race before. You can see it's 3 laps, and you'll see it's pretty long, especially if you know this race. I don't know exactly how it's called, but doesn't matter. It's gonna be around 4 to 5 minutes. And I'm showing you right now something pretty boring, but this is where this car is at its best. And that is accelerating like crazy and just keeping that speed for most of the race. You could obviously see there, slides a lot. That's obviously normal. I've already showed it in another example, the last race. But now I want to show you how insanely good this car can actually be. And I think this is a stock race, if I'm not mistaken. And if it's not, it's even more impressive, as this car is completely stock. So this is the kind of circuit and the kind of layout and the perfect environment for this car. This is where it's at its peak. Just keep pressing the acceleration and not have to deal with a lot of curbs. Medium to high speed corners are fine. You could see there, didn't slide a lot, but immediately, I'm gonna show you right here. Look at this. Yeah, I slowed down a lot there. You could see how much I slowed down, and still I actually went into the barriers, which is insane. But now immediately we're back to the strength of this car, and that is just press W, and that's pretty much it. And I can't imagine what happens when you start upgrading this car. Obviously, I'm not gonna do that, you already know, I don't need to talk about that. But for someone who wants to do that, this car is probably insane for this kind of circuit. Obviously, anything else with curbs like this, I mean, this exactly, look how much it's sliding. Let's see here, yeah. Even at 50 kilometers an hour. I slowed down there and still, it wasn't enough. This car is not good at braking, and it's definitely not good at taking corners and curbs. And so I can pretty much draw the conclusion here. This car is a one-trick pony. It's good at straights only, and maybe high-speed corners. Anything that's not a high-speed corner and is not a straight, it's not gonna do well. And look at this. In stark contrast to the last race, I'm already 24 seconds ahead of my competition. And, well, sure, it's a long race, and it's already 3 minutes into the race. You still have to... Let's look at this again. Look at this. Look at this. This was even worse. I did not learn from my mistake last time around, and this time I do it even worse. I'm gonna lose a lot of time here. Look at this, 10 seconds. So on expert, NPCs are pretty fast once you start pulling away a lot, and if you do a mistake like that, they immediately can easily half that advantage you had, right? So yeah, that's honestly my conclusion. I can already make the conclusion from this race because we've already seen 2 laps. The third lap is not gonna be any different. That's not gonna be more important. And there are quite a few fast tracks on this map, so for any of those, this might be an ideal car. And oh my god, look at this. Because this car is so light, I get absolutely smashed by some foliage. It slowed me down to like what, 30-40 kilometers an hour? That's insane, man. That's completely insane. But look what a difference in circuits can do to a car. I mean, this is probably one of the most one-sided car stats in the game, right? Because this car is completely bonkers on straights and fast corners and completely horrible on low-speed corners. And yeah, the difference is huge. Last race I barely got third place with a bit of cheating, and now this race I'm completely dominating, being in first place at over 30 seconds. And here I finally learned from my mistake, as you actually, mistakes I should say, because there were two. You have to brake very early in this car. That's my number one tip for you. If you buy this car, and by the way, it's a very cheap car. It's 250,000. If you wanted to ask why should I ever buy this car if it's a one-trick pony, well, that's because it's one of the cheapest supercars you can buy in this game. 250,000 is very cheap. And honestly, I think this is very fun. As I said, my tip for you, you have to brake very early in pretty much every corner you take. If you don't brake early, you're gonna overshoot the corner because it has horrible brakes. And yeah, my final conclusion is I think this car is worth buying actually. And I have a few reasons for that. Number one, it's a very TDU car. Caterham is not a brand you see every day on the street, and it just fits the TDU vibe a lot. Number two, it's literally, I think, probably the cheapest supercar you can buy, and that's very interesting. And by the way, 31st, I am the third fastest Caterham, as you can see, so not that bad of a race for me. Um, and continuing, number three, I think, would be the challenge. It's a very difficult car to drive, and I love some hard challenges, and I think this is one of, if not the hardest car to drive in the whole game, and I really, really like that. I think this is a nice car because it's so hard and because it's so unique, you know, it's so light. There's literally nothing like it in the game, and there's barely any cars in real life that are like this car, right? And so I like the challenge. I really, really think this is worth buying, and it's very cheap. So I would definitely recommend you try and buy it because I think you're gonna have a blast with it. I personally had, and that's just my opinion. Let me know what you think in the comments down below, and as always, I'll see you in another one. Bye bye.